Hi, my name is Nunziata, and I'm a New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film, and I'm also a proud FENIX Global Artist Ambassador. Today, I am so excited to be speaking with a friend of mine who I am so privileged to often collaborate with. He is an acclaimed Broadway conductor and musical director whose credits include The Color Purple, Dreamgirls, Memphis, Once on This Island, and currently Tina, the Tina Turner musical. His name, ALVIN HOUGH Jr. For more on ALVIN, you can read more about him right below this video, but in the meantime, take a sneak peek at the amazing talent of ALVIN HOUGH Jr. Well, hello, ALVIN. How are you?
Doing great, Will. Good to be here.
Good to see you, my friend. Now listen, the audience has got a little sneak peek of you in the recording studio, of you as a musical director and conductor of the hit revival of Once on This Island. And listen, I have known you for over a decade when you were musical directing, playing piano for my brother and I. But my friend, you have traversed the Broadway scene in the past decade as well, as you starting from playing in the pits as a sub, to playing piano, to being an assistant conductor musical director, an associate musical director, and then finally all of your friends within the business and outside the business were cheering for you because you finally landed the gold star at still such a young age as the musical director and conductor of this star-studded revival. Dream come true for you, my friend.
It was amazing. I like to think that people who get ahead and move up in this business have hopefully planted some good seeds along the way. Quick little story about Once on This Island. Steve Flaherty, the composer, Lynn Ahrens, the book writer, they're amazing, amazing people. They were doing some auditions for Anastasia, another show they had running on Broadway around the same time. But this was a few years early. They were doing an out-of-town tryout at Hartford. But they had several days of auditions, and I was lucky enough to play them. And Steve was there for the final callbacks, and he tells me the story, of course, 3-4 years later. He said, you know what? I was in that audition room, and I wrote your name down. I said, I'm using this kid for something in the future. I don't know what, I don't know when, but he said, you actually cared about the actors in their auditions. If they skipped a verse, you went with them. If they did a repeat and they weren't supposed to, you went back and tried to catch them to try to give them the best chance to succeed. He's like, okay, you're a good player and just like a good person. So I'm going to use you for something. So when he called me for Once on This Island, I was floored. And I clearly I planted a good seed a few years back and unknowingly, and it paid off.
Well, listen, Alvin, you plant good seeds wherever you go. I will never forget, I think being like 22, 23 years old and seeing you play at the duplex down in the Village. And I remember watching you on those keys, and literally it was like a spotlight hit you. And I was like, that guy is a genius player, but also I could also sense that sense of leadership because you did it with a restraint. Thanks. By not making it about you, but about the performer. And I mean, beyond you playing for Anthony and I for years, all over the country, I knew that one day when I did step into my director lane, yeah, literally the hat, that we would be working together. And obviously we've talked about some ideas that I have moving forward with that, but I want to know from you where you grew up. I mean, I know, but for the people, where did you grow up, and when did you realize that, you not only had a special talent, but that you wanted to pursue this as a career?
Well, I'm from our nation's capital, DC, inner DC, like not Maryland, not Virginia, actually in DC. And I started playing piano at 5, and I had a great teacher. I was classically trained. And I think looking back, she taught me something that I try to hold on to still to this day. She was a great classical teacher, but she was also smart in recognizing what she didn't know. So she's like, I don't know. She told me I was about 13. She wasn't this blunt, but she pretty much said, hey kid, you're starting to get good at this. If you ever want to do this for a living and make money, you can't do it if you can only play Bach.
Mm.
So she had friends, she had colleagues in other areas of the field. And she took me to my church when I was 13 and said, this kid's going to play in the service. And she put me in a place where she couldn't help me anymore, but she put me in a place where I could honestly fail, but be surrounded by people I had been going to church with for years. Learning how to cite transpose, learning how to add a tag, learning how to follow singers who catch the spirit, like all these things that, you know, classical music can't teach you. She said, I'm going to put you here and you're going to learn, you're going to absorb. And she had other colleagues in theater, and I didn't know anything about theater growing up in DC. And that same summer, I was 13, I went to a suburb and went to the Jewish Community Center in Rockville, Maryland. And the first show I'd ever been exposed to was Tommy.
Wow.
Didn't know The Who, didn't know anything about rock music. And it, like, I don't know, it lit a fire under me to realize there was something else out there that I didn't know about, that theater, so many things in theater fall under a large umbrella. Like, I think that's one of the reasons I'm drawn to it, because theater could be country, theater could be rock, theater can be so many different types of things. And I think that's why personally I don't get bored with theater, because it could be Motown, it could be, you know, it could be whatever you want it to be, as long as you're telling a story that's true, that's something that actually means something to you.
Absolutely. And I love that your teacher obviously had some foresight to think that your biggest learning curve was going to occur through the doing and being a part of it and just doing the thing. And the way that you mentioned, you know, growing up within that church community, theater, as we know, is a community of collaboration. And I mean, Alvin, talk about the collaborators you've gotten to work with. You have worked on such hit shows as The Color Purple, Memphis, Dreamgirls, and amongst others. And before the pandemic, you were working with the hit Broadway musical with the merch on, Tina, the Tina Turner musical. In what capacity were you working on that show with, and how did it differ from any other job that you've had thus far on Broadway?
Sure. I was and will be again, because we're coming back, the associate MD, music director over at Tina. Such a fantastic experience. I'll go back to say something I said earlier, planting a good seed. The first like New York based gig that I got was, like, as you mentioned, there was a national tour of Dreamgirls in 2009 into 2010. And our Laurel in that show was Adrienne Warren. And I didn't, you know, I mean, we were both babies, but we still are babies. But I could see something in her then. I'm like, wow, this girl is special. I mean, of course, none of us could have predicted that she would truly become, and she's studied Tina so hard, like her mannerisms, her inflections, her just all of her. And at night, she is a powerhouse, and it is a joy to watch when she's on stage. It feels like if anything goes wrong, she's going to pull it all back together. She is such a she motivates the rest of us. She like pushes us to be better. And I mean, and that show it's wonderful, because so many Broadway shows nowadays are moving the pits, the band out of the pit and putting them on stage. And one of the things, yeah, I'm kind of giving it away, but if you see any of our promo stuff, you know what happens. The band is on stage at the end for like this big, huge rock concert. And I think something I've heard from people, and I've actually gotten to note the show. I got to note it once before we shut down. But in the audience, in the house, it actually sounds like you're at a rock concert. It doesn't sound like Broadway. And I know that our sound engineers and our music director, Nick Skilbeck, who, you know, they'd already performed it in London, but they worked really hard to make the sound, because that's what you want. I mean, you want to hear it the right way, the way you're used to, you know, the way you remember it from before. It's such a powerful show. It's a great cast, a great experience. The band is amazing. It's something I'm yearning to get back to. Yearning. Hopefully the fall is our time.
Well, I saw the show. It's a fantastic show. Adrienne gives a Tony-winning worthy performance. She is nominated for a Tony Award for Best Actress in a Musical. You, my friend, I mean, you've already done so much. And when I think about, you coming on board, FENIX as an artist, I think about all the potential collaborators that you're going to be able to meet, not only in this country, but around the world. And, look, I could talk to you forever, and we have, God bless America, but I'm just so excited you're coming on board, and I'm excited about the potential it is for you and for you to grow with this groundbreaking new social media platform. And I'm just so grateful for your time in speaking with me today.
Thank you. I'm happy to. I mean, like you said, this is the way of the future now. Like, and to be able to network not just in one room, where you currently are, but to be able to network globally. I'm excited to now be a part of FENIX.
Thanks, Alvin. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
In the digital age, artists and bands struggle to make a living. In fact, only a small number of artists can live off their craft. For the 98% of artists that don't have the luxury of being signed to a label, it's tough. But artists deserve to live off their art. Wherever you are around the world, appreciation of music does not change. FENIX brings bands and their fans together, whilst allowing bands to properly monetize their passion. The FENIX app will directly connect bands and fans with no need for middlemen. We're utilizing the blockchain to give the power back to the artist once and for all. Join FENIX, join the change.